Yes, namaste dears. Today in this class, we'll discuss some basic geometrical concepts. We are already aware what is the symbol or the name we'll be using in order to represent a group of objects known and unknown as well. We have already discussed that. Now, when it comes to geometry, how many types of things we'll have? How many types of things we'll have? How do we denote them? How do we represent them? How do we derive new things from the existing things? These are all the points what we are going to discuss. Now, when it comes to a particular kind or group of things, totally we can have two types of things. The first one is defined. And you know what is this? You might have come across, define light, define sound, define photosynthesis, so many definitions existing. What is the meaning of a definition? A standard, general, universal structure which need not be changed at all. Across the globe, we can use the same expression to present or to describe something, what we call them as defined terms. And the second one what we call is undefined. Undefined, we cannot define. That means we cannot give a general statement about that, a general instruction or a general comment. Now when it comes to mathematics, we have, as usual, we have defined terms, undefined terms also. And important is that, let us start with the undefined terms, which cannot be defined, which are not existing universally. It may change from person to person, as we had in the case of variables. Alright, the first one, when it comes to undefined terms, not quantity here this time, remember, this is not quantity, undefined term. And we know what do we call this in general. We call this one as a point. And you see, when it comes to point, what do we say in general? A point is nothing but space occupied by the sharp tip of an object. This is a general statement what we make. But when it comes to the sharpness of tip of an object, the sharpness cannot be defined. You know, from one thing to the other thing, the sharpness varies, and there exists something sharper than the sharpest. So the sharpness is not defined, and hence this word point is not defined. The word point is not, the term point is not defined. So what we say about this one, it has no size. It has no size. We can say no shape also. It may be looking very, very thin, very small one. Sometimes we cannot identify by, a naked eye. So what we can say, a point, it has got no size. No size is to say that it has no length, no breadth, and no thickness at all. Because I was saying already, this sharpness cannot be identified. So we can say there is no thickness, there is no length, there is no breadth. However, for identification purpose, we call it as the space occupied by the sharp. Remember this word sharp. When we say sharp, it is not defined, and hence this term point is not defined. However, a point is in general denoted by higher case alphabet like P, Q, R, etc. Point is denoted by higher case alphabet P, Q and R, etc. This is the first thing what we have. And the second thing what we have is line. Line is to say that, you see, this is a general one. Now there are some points here on this plane. There are some points. How many points? Infinitely many points. There are infinitely many points on this part of the board. Now we can join these points. Number one, just have a look at this here. This is how I am joining these points. This is how I can join the points, or otherwise I can join the points here this way as well. Now you can see this is a line. This is also a line. What do you call this one? This is nothing but the path joining points. This is what we call the path joining the points. We call it as a line. and this is also the path joining the points. However, you can observe that this is a line, this is also line, but here we call this one as a curved line. A curved line means we don't worry about the distance. We are just joining the path, that's all. We don't mind whether it is the shortest or the longest. Whereas here, this is the shortest possible path. Shortest possible path joining the points. What do we call this one? This is called as a straight line. This is called as a straight line. For example, here I have a point P. This is another Q. This is another. This is another. This is how we have. If I join all these points, this path, what do we call? Say P, Q, R, S. This path joining points, and remember the path is to say that this is the shortest possible. This is what we call a straight line. This is called as a straight line. In general, we call this one as line. But remember, line means it can be curved line also. But we are going to deal with only straight lines. And remember, this is path joining points which extends in both the opposite directions infinitely. It exists, it extends in both opposite directions infinitely. However, you can say that by considering this P and S, it has got definite length. If you consider P and S, it has got definite length, or it has an infinite length. Means to say that a line has length. A line has length, but it do not have any breadth, because we know that this is line is nothing but the combination of points where there is no breadth for the point. So it has length but no breadth at all. But just have a look at the board. It has got length, it has got breadth also. That means this board is a two-dimensional figure, whereas this line, what we call, is a mono-dimensional figure. It has got length only. It has got length only. No thickness, no breadth at all. So what do we say? This line is also being considered as undefined term. Line is also considered as undefined term. Now, as we are talking already about this board, one more most important point is this board is a combination of many points, infinitely, like this here. So many points we have here on this board. Now, this is nothing but a flat surface. A flat surface with infinitely many points, and this extends in all the directions infinitely. This extends in all the directions infinitely. What we call this one is a plane. And remember, whenever I have written these arrow symbols, there is no limit at all. It is not definite. When it is not definite, as I was telling, we say that it is not defined. Only definite things are to be considered as a defined terms. Now, plane is also not a definite expression, and hence we call plane is also not a defined term. So we discussed three things so far. The first one, point, which has no thickness, no length, no breadth. The second one, line, or you call it as a straight line. A straight line has length, alright, but it has no thickness and no breadth. Similarly, plane has got some length, some breadth. This is a two-dimensional one. There is no thickness, flat surface. And remember, we need to call this one as, you call it as some M, a plane M. But we should not call this one as a plane. We should call it as a part of the plane. When I say green board, remember, this is not just green board available in the universe. What is this actually? We call it as a chalk. We call it as a chalk. But is this the only amount of chalk available in the universe? No, this is only a part. So what we should call this one? A piece of chalk. We need to call this one as a piece of chalk. You cannot call this one as a chalk piece. This is only a portion. That is, similarly we will be saying, give me a chocolate. Give me chocolate. What is the meaning of that? Produce the entire chocolate available in the universe to me. We cannot hit that. So what we should call that one? We need to call it as a piece of chocolate. When the substance is existing infinitely across, we are going to take only a part. So we call it as a part of the plane. However, in general, we call it as a plane. Now we know what is this point P, you call this one as some Q, you call this one as R. And remember, all these points are in the same plane M. All these points are in the same plane M, and hence we call these points as coplanar. Plane coplanar points P, Q and R. We call them as coplanar points. Suppose here I have drawn a line, and there are some points you call A, B, C, D, like this, the points you have on this line L. In general, this can be written as either AB straight line or BA straight line, or you can call this one as AC straight line or CA straight line. You can denote this one. Anyhow, in general, the total line can be represented by a lowercase alphabet. And you see A, B, C, D, all these points are on the same line L, and hence we call these as collinear points. We say A, B, C, D, all these points, what we call them as collinear points. A, B, C, D are called collinear points. Similarly, I have drawn one more line here this way. You call this one as some M. Now you know that L and M are the lines that are present in the same plane. So what we call these lines are called as coplanar lines. Coplanar points, collinear points and coplanar lines. This is how we will understand what are the basic definitions. Don't ask me, you said these are undefined, but you know, for general understanding, we just give some general features for those, and we call them as definitions. Alright, but these are undefined terms. Remember, three undefined terms. The first one is point, the second one is line, the third one is plane. So we understand what is the meaning of a line. Now here we have, this is a line. There are some points here on this one. Say this is AB. This can be denoted by straight line AB or straight line BA. Both are same. There is no difference at all. This is what we call a straight line. However, in general, we write it as straight line AB. To avoid this symbol, you need to write this one. In short, further, we just call it as line AB. That's it. Okay. Now let us see. We know that this is extending in both opposite directions infinitely. Now I stopped this one here. I am taking from a point A and it is going in only one direction. Suppose from sun we get the light. That is, sun is the origin, the source of emission of light. From sun only those sun rays will be reaching us. So this is the point where this line is beginning and it is going in only one direction. This is what we call a ray. In simple, what we can say, a straight line with one end point. A straight line with one end point, what we call is ray, and this is to be denoted by AB ray. AB ray, and remember this cannot be written as BA ray. This is wrong. I guess all of you understand. What is the meaning of this one? The meaning of this one is to say that this ray is starting at A and approaching towards B or beyond B. This ray is starting at A. What is the meaning of this one? This is starting at B. But this is actually starting at A. So AB ray is not same as BA ray. But here in the case of straight line, that is the same. I guess all of you understand. And what we call this point, this is called as initial point. We call this A as initial point. Similarly, when we go for the next one, I have taken only A and B, that's all. A and B, that means it is neither going towards left nor towards right. It is only strictly between A and B and A and B together. So what we can say about this one, this is nothing but the path joining set of all the points between two fixed points and points together. Between two fixed, this is nothing but the path joining set of all the points between two fixed points. Don't go to curved lines again. When we are dealing with this line, we are dealing with only shortest distances. Okay. So this is what we call line segment. Segment means a portion. Segment means a portion. So this is AB line segment, or you can write it as BA line segment. And remember, this BA line segment or AB line segment has a definite length. Here there is no definite length. Here also there is no definite length, but we have some information that there is one end point. Here we have two end points and it has got definite length. This is what we call line segment. Now let us recall each of this one. This is the path joining set of all the points which extends in both the opposite directions infinitely. We call it as a straight line or simply line. Whereas the next one, this is the path joining set of all the points from a fixed point in one direction infinitely. This is what we call a ray. And this is nothing but the set of the path joining set of all the points between two fixed points and points together. What we call this one? Line segment. And the line segment has got a definite fixed length. Is that clear? Remember, A and B are also included. The normal common error what we do here is, when we are asked to draw the line, first we draw the line and we mark the points. That is wrong. First we should mark the points and then we should join. This is going to be AB. This is how we draw. This is how we draw a line segment. Right. Now let us have a look at this. What do you call this one? We know that this is a ray OA. Now let us take another. Now let us take another ray OB. Now if you observe these two, there is something common for these two. O is common. That means the initial point is the common one. Now let us join these two rays which have got the same initial point. O is the initial point and here we have OA and this is OB. What we have done, the union means we have combined. We have combined these two rays which have got common point. Then this region what we call angle. The region what we call is an angle. Now angle definition is the union of two rays with one common point, one common initial point. The union of two rays with one common initial point, what we call is an angle. And angle in general denoted by a symbol theta. This is Greek alphabet. This is Greek alphabet. Angle is denoted by the symbol theta. And this common point, whatever we have, we call this one as vertex. We call this one as vertex. Vertex is singular. Vertices is plural. Vertex is singular and vertices is plural. Now, whatever these rays which are responsible for the formation of the angle, these are called as hands or arms of the angle. These are called as hands or arms of the angle. Now, how do we denote this angle? This angle can be represented by angle AOB or angle BOA, or in simple you can call it as angle O. That means here, whatever the point you can see, the common point at which this angle is being formed, it should come in the middle when you write it as an expression with 3 letters. Or otherwise, directly we can write it as a simple one. This is what we call the angle. And when it comes to the types of angles, you know that all of you are already aware of that. We have totally variety of angles. First one, zero angle. First one is zero angle. Now before I explain you this one, let me give you another definition for angle. Now we have a ray OA. Now what I am doing here is, let us take the same ray OA. I am going to rotate this ray about this fixed point. I am going to rotate the ray this way about this fixed point. The same ray OA. So you call this one as OA dash. If a ray is rotated about the fixed point for some time, listen to me carefully. If a ray is rotated about the fixed point for some time, then the region at this fixed point, what we call is an angle. So in this case, we have taken OA, we have not taken another ray. The same OA is rotated. In which direction? You see, this is anti-clockwise direction. This is what we call anti-clockwise, or you can call it as counterclockwise. Counterclockwise. Now when the rotation is made in anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, the angle formed is called positive angle. The angle thus formed is called as positive angle. Is that clear? Now in this case, the first ray whatever we have taken, this is called as initial ray. We call this one as initial ray, and after some rotation, the position where it is being stopped, this is called as terminal ray. Terminal ray. So this is what we have, the definition, other definition, exactly technical definition for angle. If a ray is rotated about the fixed point for some time, then the region formed at this fixed point, what we call is angle. And if the rotation is made in clockwise, anti-clockwise direction, we call it as positive. If I rotate this one downwards like this, look at the arrow. Look at the arrow. This is what we call clockwise direction. Then we call it as negative angle. That means when you say 30 degree, we know that the rotation is made in anti-clockwise direction. When I say minus 30 degree, this is clockwise direction. This minus is responsible only for the direction of the rotation, but we cannot have minus 30 degree angle at all. We cannot have, we know that there are no negative numbers. Negative numbers shows only the change in the direction, opposite direction. Similarly, this minus 30 degree is not existing. When it is say minus 30 degree, what we should do? We need to mark 30 degree, but it should be in clockwise direction. So when it comes to different measures or angles or values of the angles, we know that if the angle is between 0 degree to 90 degree, we call that one as acute angle. We call it as acute angle. If it is 90 degree exactly, we call it as right angle. We call it as right angle. And if the angle is between 90 degree, between I said, not included these two. 90 is not included, 180 is not included. Between these two, we call it as obtuse angle. I guess I am clear. If the angle is greater than 180 degree and less than 360, means between 180 and 360, we call it as reflex angle. We call it as reflex angle. If it is 0 degree, what is the meaning of 0 degree? I was telling here I have taken the ray. And I am about to rotate this ray, but I have not rotated anything at all. That means, you see, the initial ray, terminal ray coincide with each other. No rotation is made, no angle is formed. That is what we call, if it is 0 degree, we call it as 0 angle. If it is 180 degree, what will happen? This is the rotating ray, and this is rotated here this way exactly, where this one forms a straight line, and hence we call it as straight angle. And if the rotation is completed, say here I have taken one, this is completely rotated, and the initial ray coincides with the terminal ray. Terminal ray coincides after completing a revolution. You see here this is 50% is done. Here complete revolution is done. That is 360 degree, what we call is complete angle. This is called as complete angle. These are the different names what we have for angles. If it is between 0 degree to 90 degree, we call it as acute angle. Exactly 90 degree, we call it as right angle. Between 90 degree and 180 degree, we call it as obtuse. 180 degree to 360 degree, we call it as reflex angle. 0 degree means no rotation is done at all. That is 0 angle. If the rotation is done exactly half of the complete revolution, we call it as straight angle, and complete revolution is done, we call it as a complete angle. Now, these are the different types of angles. We name them as per the values. Now, one more important thing is, I have two angles. Say one is this is one. Say AOB is one angle, and I have one more angle. This is B and C. What can you say by looking at these two? OB is common for these two. OB is common for these two. So together how can we write this one? Say this is OAB is one and this is another, you call it as C. Now here AOB is one angle, BOC is one angle, and you can see there is some common hand, common arm for these two. Now a pair of angles with one common side, what we call this? These two, suppose this is A, this is B. In this case A and B are called, these are called as adjacent angles. We call these as adjacent angles. A pair of angles which have got one common side. A pair of angles which have got one common side, we call them as adjacent angles. Okay, yes, just make a note of this.